that there's a gap on the inside. He's got one here behind the 45, and he just tries to slam the door. Can he do it? No!
Still hung up on the outside with absolutely nowhere to go. That is a terribly sinking feeling for William Boisvert, as the 95 is going to be able to get to his inside. Now I want to say hello to everybody who's watching on the JCTV YouTube feed. We'll get the full race broadcast uploaded here for you as well. But lap 73 on the scoreboard here in the Galaxy Cup Series Daytona 500. We've had a couple of big incidents so far and a couple of big storylines for you over the next, 126 laps we got left in this one.
And finally, some help on the outside line for the 47 of Boisvert. He's got now the 45 of Bennett and the 78 of Duke out there with him as well. The Duke now jumping back to the inside. Realizes that line is going nowhere. They have some work to do, both between Bennett and, oh, now they're 3 wide. That's not the move I think they wanted to make, unless it's just switch traffic trying to get back up to the front of the field.
Yeah, that car up to the outside, I believe, is the 45 of Brett Bennett. We talked about it's the Baylor University Dr. Pepper entry. Bennett, currently a student at Baylor, graduate actually. Big wiggle down to the inside for the 78 of David Duke. And it is the car control from these guys, and it's all meant to be, has been absolutely incredible to see some of the drivers have made.
Yeah, from watching these guys run, it really reminds me of why I am up here in the booth and not on the track with them. But it looks like trying just to find a gap in line at this point. If you're the 47, you need to jump to the inside right now where there's that gap clear. And he's going to do it into turn 3. Yes! Finally getting back to the inside line, catching up with the draft is the 47 of Boisvert. After getting left out to drive for so long and into the wall, almost the 47. That's 3 wide further back for about 7th place.
Holy cow, what fantastic racing back in the pack here. The only issue that these drivers are going to have now is if they stay too wide like this, the leaders will absolutely get away from them. And then you're stuck in this limbo of wanting to race hard but trying to ensure you don't get lapped, and that's not where you want to be for sure.
Yeah, you got about an 8-car break, single file, and then back behind them, Dylan Schmidt leads a train of about 3 or 4 cars, and it's just really single file, basically about the first, I'd say 20 cars or so, yeah, because Zach Probst and the now working on the 45 and losing a ton of spots is Brett Bennett that we were just talking about in that Baylor Dr. Pepper machine. Now he's all the way back now in 19th position.
Name we haven't talked a whole lot about so far tonight, the 95 of Nolan Hodgson. Steelers livery on the front of that machine. That car is up 30 positions and inside the top 5. As you see, as the car's coming head-on towards you, a lot of front-end damage throughout the field here. This is going to be as much about keeping your race car clean as it is about being fast at the end.
Yeah, Brett Bennett, 3rd to 19th officially, and my goodness, that was interesting to see. Looks like he got forced up into the wall is what he's saying over the radio. The one thing that I'm kind of keeping a note on is the number 20 Clemson car of Jonathan Eldorado. He has a lot of damage to the rear bumper on that car. It is pushed up very well. You might expect to see a little bit of damage as you can kind of take a look at it here coming into turn number 4. You expect to see a little bit of damage from bump drafting, but he must have got slam drafted down the back straightaway if you got that much damage to the back of your race car.
Yeah, he was the car that got spun around and went to the inside retaining wall that brought out second. Right front corner of that car is also pretty well banged up. Things are starting to heat up just a little bit.
The top 5 still strung out single file. That's Ippolito, Figiola, Campbell, Duke, Boisvert, and Hodgson. And it takes quite a while to get to where they are 2 wide. You're looking at it right there with a couple of cars on the outside.
Yeah, that's the 78 of David Duke and the 47 of Boisvert, trying to make the outside lane work, but just not getting any help. What really is helping those 2 cars out is when everybody on the inside lane peeks out and get a little bit of air on the front of the car. I mean, we're just approaching the halfway point, and we're already seeing a lot of air back.
Yeah, 20 laps to halfway. You'd expect to see, barring any miracles for some of these drivers, you have to expect it to be pretty clean, and they go for the switch, it looks like, between the 47 and the 78 of Boisvert and Duke. So Duke now going to be the trailing car in that outside line, trying to work his way back up to the bumper now of Boisvert.
Want to make sure we get the shout out in here for the Majors Garage Pole Award that was given out a couple of nights ago, actually, and that one going to Mike Tellier. His lap speed that put him on the field, 46.49 seconds at 193 miles. Big thank you to Majors Garage for their support. And we're also giving them the naming rights here on the onboards and some of that kind of fun stuff. So, Chad, what do you think? How about we be quiet for a minute and we'll give these guys a chance to tune it up?
Let's turn it up. Let's have some fun.
Down to complete lap number 83, and God, it's so interesting to hear the off-throttle time that these drivers have. Years ago, you had to ride the brake a little bit. With restrictor plates, you couldn't get off the throttle that hard. With the tapered spacers, it gives these drivers so much more control.
Yeah, you just have to, make sure you kept the foot in it at all times. Make sure you kept the car wound up and kept the thing ready for speed when it needed it, instead of what we've got now, where you can actually lift and the car catches right back up when you need it to. One thing that I think that I'm not sure if you mentioned yet so far in the broadcast, but the 85 of Jonathan Medeiros running with a Racing for John sticker all over that car. I think to note is one of the Majors Garage members, John King, who's the admin over there, actually also owner of Kinetic Racing, fighting brain cancer right now. Talking to Medeiros, he's a great mentor, and he's been a one to many people over the years in iRacing. They have a GoFundMe set up as well, trying to raise as much money as they can for John King of the Majors Garage. Go on, if you feel inclined to donate, go to GoFundMe and look up Racing for John as they try to raise as much money to support him. He's not very vocal about it, but they're going to do everything that we can to support our fellow iRacers. Such a great community that we have here in iRacing.
Yeah, that's one of the really neat things about it is the iRacing community is as tight-knit as the real-world racing community is. Whenever somebody needs help, everybody's there to jump right on board, and pretty cool that we get to help showcase that paint job here tonight as well.
Yeah, just as an example of how great the community is, one of the leagues that I commentate during the week as well had a member at about noon announced to the league that he was diagnosed with a form of cancer, and by the time the race started at 7 o'clock, about 15 to 20 people had ribbons on their cars or even entire liveries dedicated to him just to show their support. So such a great, strong, and dedicated community here on iRacing, and these drivers really work well together to support their causes that mean a lot to them.
Looking back up now towards the front of the field, we're lap number 87. Everybody single file on this one. In fact, all the way through, we got to get back to around 15th place here before. Oh, big wiggle for Bennett. He's up into the outside retaining wall. Bennett's in trouble once again. That car is a monster handful for Brett Bennett. Also to the outside working now is Mike Tellier, and that car back on the lead lap. That's the blue and white
So
53.
From over the radio, it sounds like Bennett was expecting those inside line cars to kind of be holding the inside. He was trying to side drive to keep some momentum going in the outside, and unfortunately, when they didn't do that down the back straightaway, Bennett got into some contact, was shot up into the outside wall.
That is always tough. I mean, you're doing your best to keep the car as under control as possible, but not always the way things are going to work out. Seeing, is that Boisvert? Yeah, he was the 47. He was taking a peek to the outside. Rapidly approaching the halfway point here, and still will be another 30 laps or so in stage number 2. As this one's going to go to lap 130. Looking at the numbers here, we're not that far off from needing green flag pit stops here, because based on the numbers that we're working out, if you stopped at lap 67, your window is going to be from 102 to 105. So about 10 laps or so away from starting to see some green flag pit stops.
Yeah, we were told about 35 or so laps, give or take. Window opened, I guess, at 35. With that caution included, I'm sure you could extend that just a little bit. These guys are running 22 laps now on these tires. Only driver that's a lap off of strategy, actually, is Joshua Campbell, who's currently running third in line. He pitted one lap later than everybody else, it seems like.
Yeah, I'm seeing him as coming in on lap 67, but again, it's all sort of in that same ballpark. I don't know that one lap's going to make a huge difference. The only car that's really off strategy right now is Cody Luke, but actually we'll pick him up. He's going to be the second car in line here, headed for pit lane, the well-damaged machine of Julian Pastor. And there's the 8 of Cody Luke, the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Budweiser-themed number 8. He's making his way down pit road now. Seeing 14 and a half seconds for Luke on his pit stop. So that's going to be 4 Goodyear Racing Eagles, 2 Kansas Sunoco fuel. Pastor out in 15:08, so going to be, I would assume the same thing there, maybe a little damage repair as well.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see when some of the leaders kind of pop over the radio, especially during a long run like this. 95 Nolan Hodgins just a moment ago came over the radio and apologized for a moment that he had, maybe a lapse in concentration. It sounded like he's up 30 spots, but he apologized for an action on track. Thankfully, though, it doesn't seem to have caused any issues as we are still green.
Yeah, everything looks pretty good here. I would imagine that that's a very difficult thing about sim racing. When you're in the car in the real world, it's true sensory overloading, and you do get a clue to it. you have the spotters in your rear, you have the crew chief in your rear, you're kind of thinking strategy, you're placing where the car is. Sim racing is not necessarily the same. When we asked the question earlier today, most of these drivers are running without a spotter and without a crew chief, which is common to see in the kind of A levels and the World Cup levels. So, yeah, I would imagine it can get a little bit lonely and tiresome behind the wheel.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it last year when NASCAR was running their virtual series with all of the Cup drivers. We saw, I think it was Denny Hamlin, who had his main display shut off by his daughter, who somehow grabbed the remote. So basically, what I'm trying to say is anything can happen in here compared to in real life, where the only distractions that you might have is your crew chief telling you when to pit or something like that.
Yeah, that's a is that truly like the main equivalent of the blown motor or something, the unexpected issue?
I say we saw it a little bit ago. I think it was one of the Red Bull paint jobs that was running out here, kind of blinking on the track. That might be the biggest distraction you get in terms of in-sim, but it's all the real-world distractions that really cause the issues for these drivers.
Yeah, it seems like to a lot of people, they're sitting here playing a game. This sim, especially the iRacing sim, is about as real to life as you're gonna get. These cars, the physics is very, very good. It may not be perfect, but it is very good. These cars are gonna behave pretty close to the same way that you see in the real world, and it is absolutely a big deal to keep these things as tuned up as you can.
Yeah, it's always fun, you tell people, oh, I'm a sim racer. I play racing all the time with people for fun. They don't realize how serious some of this stuff is. I mean, when you say you're running a 500-mile event, they think you're crazy. They don't realize how, intense some of this stuff is, but once they get behind the wheel and kind of feel what the actual force feedback does with the bumps in the track, immediately it's a wake-up call for them to realize, oh, I can see exactly why you're so passionate about this, because sim racing and iRacing do a great job of kind of putting something together that everybody can't do. It might not be the most affordable at times, especially when you need a new part or something like that, but overall, I mean, it's very accessible, and they do their best to make it available to everybody.
Yeah, and there are not many things you can do that you can put on a broadcast that looks the way this type of thing does. You watch a Madden game that they show on ESPN, and it absolutely looks like a video game. This is 40 real-world people operating real-world machinery, and it has been a blast to call this one so far.
Yeah, it's always fun to watch. I remember, was it last year or 2 years ago, Antoine Hubert had his incident in GP2s, and unfortunately, drivers had to pay tributes to them. And when some of those posts from iRacing went viral, people actually in the comment threads on Reddit said, "Wait, this is a video game? How are they doing this?" But no, it's a video game, but at the same time, it's as much of a stimulator as it is anything.
Yeah, how the world of sim racing has changed, and we'll kind of get back a little bit to the action on track here. Is Ippolito's still the race leader? Everybody single file through the top 10, where we saw a gap of 1 second back to 25th place earlier in the race. That gap for 1 second now stretches only to 11th place Dylan Prince.
I don't know what it is about this 47 car of Voiceford, but he peeked his nose to the outside and slingshot around 3 cars. He's up at least 3 spots, if not more. He's working his way up. He's going to be battling with the 9 car for 3rd right now. Went from 7th to 4th on that lap and a side-by-side for 3rd.
Yeah, Voiceford seems to have gotten the side draft figured out on these things. It is such a fine line between side drafting someone and sliding them out of the way. And basically, what we're talking about is when you pull out a line, you hit a massive wall of air that absolutely slows the car down in huge ways. When you side draft someone, you're basically pulling up alongside them, and you're kind of shifting how the air flows, and you're taking the disturbed air off the car alongside you and turning that into a smooth outlay. And it's a little bit less downforce, and it really can increase your speed in a big way. Boisvert slipping back now just a little bit. It's a very pronounced effect, and the ones who do it well are really good.
Yeah, I think he was expecting someone maybe to jump up with him, try to get something going on the outside line. We are about, I'd say, 5 or so laps from green flag pit stops as we approach halfway in this race.
Yeah, the thing that Boisvert's really going to have to watch out for is the same thing that caught out Dallas Prochaska earlier tonight. Prochaska was caught on the outside lane. He tried to make the hard left-hand turn to get onto pit lane, crossed everybody and cleared it up as we see several cars heading for pit lane. So we'll cover the stops here, but yeah, Prochaska's issues started with getting onto pit lane. Even that 96 machine of Dylan Schmidt may be having a little bit of an issue getting down to pit road speed.
Yeah, and looking at the pack now just coming out of 2, but everybody on pit road looks like they're going to take 4 tires full of fuel. Interesting decision if you ask me. I would think you want to take 2 here, kind of just try to hang in line until you get to the stage break here in about 20 to 30 laps and try to kind of work your strategy from there. But instead, looks like they're taking 4 as the leaders come off of turn number 4.
Yep, seeing several more cars making their way for pit road, including the 95 of Nolan Hodgson. That's going to be the furthest of the front cars coming in. Alex Pinson, also Dustin Webb, Joshua Gaiman, Anthony Russo, and Eric Wineland on the pit road. Trouble for the 88. Russo misses his pit box. We talked about it during the initial set of stops when just about everybody was on the lead lap. It can be very difficult to find your pit stop, your pit stall, I should say, and make a clean entry and exit here. You can, at least you don't have the real world issue of having actual cars stop in front of you. You can use those other boxes, but not always the easiest thing to get on and off of pit road.
No, especially, depending on the track, it's not, as you said, it's not the easiest thing to do, but your leaders now going into turn 1, you see a lot of these black and red cars. They are all, I believe, if I remember correctly, in partnership in some sort of alliance with each other. You have to expect all 4 of those front 6 cars to be kind of working their way down pit road together, as there's 2 lap cars now that just came down pit road working, trying to just kind of stay out of the way of the rest of this pack.
Yeah, and at this point, the undercut is the strategy that's in play right now with everybody stopping before the leaders. If the caution flag were to come out, everybody who's on the lead lap still, or who's ahead of the leader, I should say, is going to get to stay out while the leaders have to come into pit. It's a strategy that we see a ton in open wheel, but it's not really talked about a ton, that it's really a track position game that you're playing right now.
And if you're curious to if tires matter, looking through this pack of cars, just in front of the 47 the 9 of Boisvert, Joshua Campbell and Drumhiller, both of those cars came out and they were basically side by side for the front of that group, and then they decided that some of these guys decided to drop back in this pack and kind of just jump in line. So you can definitely get a run with fresher tires, especially during some of the corners as Boisvert drops back down to the inside.
Yeah, taking a look here, this is Bigliola and Ippolito at the front of the field. They're just coming around Nolan Hodgson and Alex Princeton. So the gap is about 1 lap is what you're going to lose in the time delta on pit road. You're still having to face that issue of you're kind of in the danger zone here if you're these lead cars that have not come in yet.
Yeah, I would expect if they don't come in this lap, which it appears that they probably aren't, they're going to have to do it. Yeah, they're going to stay on the track for 1 more lap. They have to probably do it next lap, if I'm not mistaken. This is going to be their 38th lap that they're running right now. We were told the pit window was 35 to 38.
Yeah, I would assume that we're going to see these lead lap cars coming in this time. And this is really going to create a lot of space in this field because your leaders are going to be coming out not necessarily with where the rest of the pack is.
It is confirmed. Ty Ippolito coming in. He just said it over the radio, as well as Campbell, Drumhiller. Basically, the entire lead pack of cars remaining say that they are coming in this lap.
Oh, big wiggle there, trying to get on the pit road. Wow, what a save.
You have to be as aggressive as you can before you get to that timing line. But at the same time, if you're too aggressive and you lose, you can either be too aggressive and lose time with a penalty, or you'd be not aggressive enough and lose time just on track.
Yeah, that's seeing Figliola hitting his pit box, and everybody in the top 10 on pit road. Dylan Fritz is currently in the 11th position, but he's still about 40 seconds back. So leader is going to be coming off the pit road. And the part that's just as important starts now. How quickly do you get off of pit road and up to speed through turns 1 and 2? It's not it's not hammer down, that's for sure.
Yeah, fortunately for some of these guys, like look at Ippolito and Figiola, they were pitted right, one right in front of the other. So they were able to get in, get out cleanly, and get back to the track with no issues there. Further back, though, it looked like, was it Medeiros that we were just talking about a little bit ago, doing his best just to kind of catch up with these lead two. Hopefully he's still within drafting ranges. He's maybe 15 or so car lengths behind them.
Yeah, and the undercut was the strategy play that seemed to work here, at least for most of the pack. There's the 36 of Dylan Fritz. They are rapidly catching up to Ippolito and Figliola, while Hodgson and Boisvert and all those cars that stopped one lap later, they're now caught up and towards the back of this pack of cars.
Yeah, Medeiros lost a lot of time last lap. Definitely his pit stop did not go the way he wanted, did not get a great exit, it appears, because he's going to lose a ton of time to both Figiola and Ippolito, the two cars in front of him.
Taking a look at the pit stop strategy, everybody taking 4 tires on this one. Pit stops ranging from 13.7 to 14.8. Even a 15.3 for Boisvert, so that may have been a little bit of a damage repair on that car as well. So we see the lead pack cars here are now kind of right where they want to be. However, Kai Ippolito and Brandon Figliola have checked out here. They have a lead of almost 2 seconds over this main pack of cars that's trying to chase them down.
And I'm not the best at math, but I still think that about this 8-car pack, 8 is more than 2. I think that draft would have to be a little bit stronger for them to try to catch back up.
Yeah, this is just going to be a matter of how well can you tuck in. And even if Fritz and Chambers, that are currently running 3rd and 4th here, if they're able to tuck up and really get hooked up together, they could run down and gap the cars that are behind them just a little bit. It doesn't seem like everybody's wanting to play incredibly nice here, but I mean, we're now within the window where we saw it at the end of stage number 1. The action's going to start getting hot and heavy now. We're 21 laps from the end of stage number 2. There's points on the board and everything else here. This is going to be very important come later in the season.
Last time by the line, the gap from Figiola to Kritz was 1.9. This time by the line, 1.4. So that second pack really doing their best to try to catch as much ground as they can on these two leaders.
Yeah, you can see that gap shrinking in a hurry. Your two leaders of Ippolito and Figliola, they may even get freight trained here if the pack cars are able to get to the outside and they just stay in line. They are going to have a huge head of steam coming off of turn 2.
Yeah, and if you are Dylan Kritz, get your fishing pole out for reeling these guys in, as he's right to the back bumper of Figiola going to the outside now.
There's the run we talked about down the back straightaway. May have made the move just a little bit too late. If you hit that big ball of air, that just absolutely kills you. And yeah, they're going to be stuck on the outside here while Hodgson is able to catch up, and he's going to tuck right up in on the inside.
I was going to say, you talk about them getting freight trained, and that move just fell apart quickly. It looked like Hodgson was going to jump out with them, but quickly decided, no, I'm okay where I'm at. So both him and Princeton decided, we're just going to stay on the inside, run with these guys. We're comfortable with them as well. So almost some contact there between the 5 and the 47. That's Princeton and Boisvert, but they keep things clean, keep things rolling, and now we're going to be almost 2 by 4 up at the front, as looks like 36 now of Kritz is now going to be clear, and he drives back down to the inside going into 3.
Yeah, thank you very much for the help, but I'm a goner here. I've got the lead now. Kritz grabs the lead. He's going to leave Ippolito hung out to dry on the outside as Chambers in the 11. That's going to be the car, sorry, the one that's up on the outside. Ippolito, the race second place runner currently. Going to be tucked up right behind the back bumper of Kritz as we turn lap 112.
Last time by the line, Kritz with a .059 differential between Kritz and Ippolito, and then about a half of a tenth back to Chambers. So these guys now 3 lines deep of 2 cars abreast, and my goodness, they're doing a great job of just putting on a great show here in the season opener for the Galaxy Series.
Yeah, this series is going to be a fun one to call this season. If the racing is like this every week with really competitive cars and a variety of competitive cars, that's the fun part too. This one is going to be a barn burner for sure.
Yeah, you have to kind of maybe be not the biggest of racing fans, but at the same time you have to, you have to see some ties from the real world into the sim. And one thing that I love to note is that Brett Bennett now currently 1 lap down, but running with a decent pack of cars. Before the race, he asked, what time do we have to join by? Because I want to watch the end of the Xfinity race. And that just shows how dedicated these guys are to not only to this race and this series, but to their favorite drivers over in the real world.
Yeah, that's why we're running the race tonight. Get the Xfinity series out of the way. We lucked out a little bit. All the dirt racing down in Florida rained out tonight. So we've got nothing on the agenda except the Galaxy Cup Series Daytona 500 until about 2:30 Eastern Time tomorrow.
Go fast, turn left. You guys are doing a great job of it as coming to the completion. They're halfway through lap 114 and about 20 laps, I believe, until we hit the next stage break.
Yep, not too far off of that here. It's going to be actually about 15. It should be lap number 130. We'll end stage number 2. Currently, going to be the 11 of Jason Chambers, your race leader. Boisvert up on his back bumper. We've talked about William Boisvert a ton tonight, but I don't think he's led more than a couple of laps. He just seems to be everywhere all at the same time.
No, we talk about we mentioned some of these drivers over and over. It's not that we have a bias for some of them. It's just that they appear to be everywhere in the field, somehow all at the same time. We've crossed half distance in this race, working lap 150. Let's take a quick look through the field as Chambers out front, followed by Boisvert, Kritz, and Ippolito. Josh Campbell rolling in 5th place, followed by Figueroa, Hodgson, Princeton, Gaiman, and Caldwell, wrapping up your top 10.
Starting in 11th, going to be Jake Hicks, and he's leading the next group of cars, followed by Randy Drumhiller, David Duke, Alonzo Chicano, going to be running 14th. He's about we'll say 12 seconds or so back behind Duke. Jonathan Alardo in that number 20 machine runs 15th. And we'll pick up Billy Schmidt, Mike Keller, Andy Russo, Dustin Webb, and Jason Taylor to complete the top 20.
Jason Taylor running 20th, the first car a lap down. Followed behind him is Brett Bennett, Jonathan Medeiros, Sean O'Brien Jr., and Cody Lucas 24th, followed by Julian Martinez Pastor, followed by Robert Anderson 26th, and Kevin Franks, Dave Hughes Jr., and then Eric Wineland and Kyle Ammon wrap up 30th position.
The rest of these cars are going to be 1 or more laps down. That's includes Rutherford in 31st. Zach Probst is going to be 13 laps down to the race leader in 32nd. Dakota Cole is 33rd. And Terry Cooper Jr., Brian Baker, Josh Coppenol, and Tyler Pinsino all are going to be DNFs tonight.
Yeah, Pinsino disconnected not too long ago. Just some frustration from him. And that's unfortunate. That's not the way that you want to start your season, especially I believe this is going to be his first season here in Galaxy Cup. So not the way you want to start your season, but fortunate enough there is a lot of racing to go here in 2021.
Yeah, there's a long, long way to go here. Keep your eye on that red number 37 of Jason Taylor, because he is the first car a lap down. And if he crosses the line first at the end of the stage, he's going to basically unlap himself and get a free around in the front of the field as he gets way up towards the outside safer barrier coming off at turn 2.
Yeah, if you want to lose a lap, this is going to have to be the time that you want to do it. Coming to the end of a stage, you're still with this lead pack, and if somebody else, if they catch up to the next group of lap down cars, if you're already in that pack, they're going to have to wait until you get by before they drop in line behind you. So,
yeah, at this point, the biggest Jason Taylor fan in Daytona is going to be Brett Bennett, because if Taylor's able to unlap himself naturally, then Bennett would be the lucky dog at the caution flag. If he's not able to do it, then Taylor gets a lap, and Bennett's going to stay one lap down.
Yeah, the old chanty goes General Taylor gained today, but Jason Taylor trying to get his lap back, and man, these guys just trying to work their way up through the field. Still plenty of racing left. Is about next time by the line, it'll mark 10 laps until the end of the second stage.
Yeah, 10 to go to the end of stage 2, and 80 laps remaining in this Daytona 500. I'll tell you what, I am really impressed at the lack of caution flag racing that we've seen. Although when we were talking with the series administrators before the race tonight, they said they expected things to be really clean for a lot of the race, and then for all hell to break loose towards the finish, which would it be anything other than Daytona for that to happen?
The one question that I have is, will 3 green-white checkers be enough at the end of this? The limit has been set at 3. I can't say that I like that, but I just want to see a race. I mean, give me as many laps as we can possibly fit out here, as we do have 3 stages, 130 laps is going to be the next one, and everybody should be good on fuel. But overall, I mean, my goodness, these guys are working great together out there. What a lead pack that we have, just building and building and trying to, work well together, while at the same trying to be just one in front of the other. You have to beat everybody every lap of the race, right?
Yeah, there's no point in racing anybody hard now with 9 to go in the season. The hard part comes when you get down to 1 or 2 to go, and then it becomes go time. You don't want to wad yourself up, but at the same time, I mean, we've seen it in iRacing. These series are so competitive that 1 or 2 points does make a difference when we get to the end of the season. We're starting to see the front of the field get side by side here, so I guess it's game on now.
Yeah, and one thing to note is you look, the top 9 are in that lead pack there in terms of lead lap cars. 10th place, Cameron Caldwell. Your lone remaining, leading the second pack, lone remaining Final Four contender from last season here in the Galaxy Cup. Only 5 playoff members from last season remain here in this Daytona 500, and it's just been great to watch these guys duke it out lap after lap to start the season here at Daytona.
Yeah, this one's going to be a doozy, that's for sure. As Prince gets to the inside, he's got a head of steam in the short way around the racetrack. Off at turn number 4, new race, leader Dylan Kritz. Jason Chambers in the 11 going to come right with him. And Ty Ippolito, he's got some help behind him, but it may not be enough.
Yeah, just slowly but surely you kind of see this outside line does get some huge runs, but it has to develop over time. At the end of the race, I'm not entirely sure which lane I would want to be in, because the inside gains so much in the corners, but then you see this run that the 19 of Ippolito is getting. Just makes up so much ground. He was about a car and a half back of Kritz last time by the line. Now he is side by side, and Kritz getting the run back on the inside, taking that shorter distance around. Yeah,
it was a huge bump draft down the back straightaway from Ippolito, but unfortunately, you can't make that work in the corners. This is where the physics will differ just a little bit from what we see in the real world, where drivers are having to block these massive runs. You just can't do it in iRacing because the massive run isn't as big as you might think.
Talking about massive runs, we got another change for the lead. Ippolito diving back down to the inside, cutting off the nose of Kritz, and My goodness, that bump draft was just incredible. What a huge push coming here, though, from Crits on Ippolito.
Yeah, that's what you're going to see. That's the key. You just saw it as they entered turn 3. Crits was about, I'll say, a quarter of a car length off the back bumper of Ippolito as they entered the corner. The net code issue cannot be understated in this one. Unlike the real world where you can, you're physically in the moment, sometimes the computers don't get the math right. They call it net code, and the last thing you want to do is send the leader spinning on entry to turn 3.
Talking about spinning in turn 3. Last time by Dylan Crits barely judged it wrong, clipped the apron with his left side tires and almost shot up across the track, able to keep it under control, and now he gets a huge run down the back straightaway.
Massive push from Jason Chambers. Dylan Crits going to be your new race leader and immediately dumps off the front bumper of the 11. He knows how strong these cars are to the inside, but here comes Ippolito. He's going to try to lead the front lane down to now 4 laps to go in stage 2.
Yeah, and last time at the line, Crits got the lead back by only by 1/100th of a second. Crits said thank you very much to Chambers, and Chambers decided, you know what? I'm going to help out Ippolito now. So now it's 2 by 2 at the front, coming down the back straightaway, and whoever's in line with the 11 seems to get a huge run every single time down either of the straightaways.
Yeah, one of the interesting things to keep an eye on here is the team cars are now split up. The 19 of Ippolito on the outside, the 47 of Boisvert, I believe is at least an aligned car. And then you have Hodgson, who's right behind Boisvert, but the 7 of Figliola is now stuck on the outside as well. So maybe not as much teammate love going on here as we're down to 3 to go in stage 2.
2 by 2, the first 4 lanes, and you hear Teller over the radio talking about how the sun is coming out. This might impact the track temperature just a little bit while we are still running here in the afternoon hours in Daytona. We have 2 by 2 for the first 4 rows, and looking to make it 5 rows at the back of this pack, coming to a couple of laps to go. What a show these guys are putting on.
This has been fantastic, but this is right where we saw the trouble at the end of stage number 1. Don't have as many cars involved in the pack here, but any kind of a big issue at the front of the field is going to wipe out just about all the contenders that we really have left in this one.
Yeah, next pack back behind these guys. These top 9 cars separated by 0.3 of a second. Yep, 10.5, and they are single file with Cameron Caldwell leading that next train. So it looks like it's going to be between these top couple of cars to get things going here. 19 cars remaining on the lead lap, looking to make it 20 at the next caution.
We'll see what's going to come here because they're making their way off of turn number 4 and through the dogleg tri-oval front stretch here at the World Center of Speed. Going to be 1 more lap to go here in stage number 2. Ippolito has the lead by 4/100ths at the line.
It's very interesting to see a couple cars taking the pit road just as race control decides to close them, but Julio Martinez Pastor, and I believe that's the 8 car of Cody Luke as well, coming down pit road just before the competition caution, just before the end of the stage. They get their tires, get their fuel, and they're looking to stay out and try to get at least 1 lap back here on the leaders as they come out past pit road.
Through turns 3 and 4 for the final time here in stage number 2. Dylan Crits is your race leader, but here comes Ippolito to the outside. Drag race down to the start-finish line. Dylan Crits going to pick up the stage 2 victory. William Boisvert going to hold on to second. Ty Ippolito third. Now we're just going to wait for the caution flag to come out here, still under the green flag. And this is sort of the same thing we see in NASCAR here. They don't automatically throw the caution flag. They typically wait until the last lead lap car comes across the line here. We may be actually running lap 130 here for the final lap of the stage.
Yeah, I think that's might be what's playing out. Leaders now coming off of turn number 4. Such a small pack as everybody behind them all the way back 14th basically back behind them, all pitted on the last time by.
Yep, so now lap 131 going on the scoreboard. We'll wait to see where the stage break caution flag is going on. We're going to throw the caution flag here for the end of stage 2. Boisvert, now the race leader. He got a fantastic run. There's the caution flag for the end of stage number 2. So William Boisvert had it by not much at the last time by the line.
Yeah, I thought that there was a bunch of cars that pitted, but according to my scoring here, it looks like that might not actually be the case. There was just a huge checkup in that mid-pack, and somehow Chicano, Elardo, and everybody basically back behind 14th place just lost a ton of time to the group in front of them.
Yep, not going to matter a ton here because everybody's going to get cycled up under caution. Let's give you the JCTV instant replay here of the finish of stage 1, and Boisvert by, we'll call it a foot at the line, picks up the win here in stage number 2.
What a show we have seen so far, and my goodness, I mean, we've still got 70 laps to go. I would expect it to be one stop from here. I don't think that anybody's going to have any issues on fuel, just depending on when they decide to come into pit.
Yeah, I would imagine we're going to see one more round of pit stops following this one. With the fuel window about where it is, they're going to have to make one more stop. The real question is going to come into play is if we get a caution flag 20 or so laps into this one, do you want to come down and take your pit stop then, knowing you may need a splash of fuel?
It'll be interesting to see what the case is there, especially because just kind of the way that things work out. I mean, if you do take your tires and fuel early, how many laps under yellow will you have? How many laps of competition, you're not competition caution, but green-white checkers will we have? Because we have up to 3. You have to make sure you have enough to go to the end there. That'd be just heartbreaking in Dale Earnhardt Sr. style after so many attempts. You know, he finally got his win in the Daytona 500, but a couple of us were just running out of fuel at the end of the race. You can't curse yourself like that by trying to just stretch it as far as you can. You need to make sure you play it safe here, especially in the Galaxy Cup Series.
Yeah, so leaders starting to make their way off the pit lane. The only way to be truly comfortable with where you are on fuel, I would say you're going to have to assume lap 210-ish with the green-white checkers. That would make a last pit stop no earlier than lap 172. So that's kind of the ballpark that you're talking about for that last pit stop. And it's really going to be about halfway in the stage here. So it's going to be really tight for some of these drivers, depending on the green-white checkers.
Yeah, with as many laps that you will have to run under caution as well to even get to that point, you might back 172 up to 168, 167, but overall, you just have to make sure you can get to the end. I mean, just the way that these cars run, and if you start sputtering, you realize your race is pretty much over.
Yeah, that was some of the guys when we talked ahead of the race here was, if I'm sputtering on the green-white checkered, oh well, they're not making the late race pit stop. Interesting call here is that Dylan Kritz did not pit last time. I don't know that he's allowed to pit this time by. I thought you had to pit with your. Where are the pits closed here for Dylan Kritz?
He did come down pit road this time. He's now. You might have a second lap if you're a lead lap car, but I'm not sure that I agree with this strategy. You get one more lap of green out of it. Maybe he just wanted to drop to the back. I'm not sure why you wouldn't just stay in your box a little bit longer. But overall, right. I mean, I do question that strategy just a little bit, but hey, he's worked his way from 22nd up to second last time by the stripe. He has more room to talk than we do as he tries to catch his way back up to this field.
Yeah, that's right. We'll take a look at the pit stop times here for this set through, and not seeing all the data on that one here, so we'll drop that one out of here. But yeah, it looks like 4 tire changes all the way around. Boisvert, Hodgson on the front row. Princeton and Ippolito should make up row number 2 for the restart. Campbell and Caldwell in row 3. Gaiman and Duke row 4. Figliola and Hickson row number 5. Lights are out on the iRacing safety truck. It's about time to go back to green flag racing.
Yeah, and Carly, we've been talking about Dylan Chris. He's going to drop all the way back from 2nd to 20th spot, if I'm not mistaken. So losing a lot of time there. Chicano looks to get his lap back as well as we get ready to come back to green.
Field's going to make their way off of turn number 4. A total of 20 cars remain on the lead lap. Green flag goes back in the air. We'll bring these Chevrolets, Fords, and Toyotas up through the gearbox and make their way down towards turn 1.
Unfortunately, we're only down to 3 manufacturers. I do miss Dodge being in the Cup Series as well. But as things work out over time, I'm sure hopefully we will see more manufacturers get their way back into NASCAR. Back in the glory days, it was everybody, including Buick, and everybody just running in the Cup Series. So 95 gets a huge jump. That's Nolan Hodgson's, and he's going to be with the 19 of Ippolito. Ippolito's been strong all day, and the first 2 are clear of that inside line.
Yeah, Hodgson threw a huge block on Ippolito down the black straightaway. Ippolito now going to look to the outside, and he's going to have some help coming from behind. It's going to be Cameron Caldwell in the number 12. We haven't talked about Caldwell much at all tonight.
And at the line, it was Ippolito by the narrowest of margins, 5/1000th of a second. That's how close it was. If you see a move like that coming off of 4 on the final lap, oh my goodness, it's going to be pandemonium here in the Galaxy Cup Daytona 500.
Boisvert got into the back of Hodgson down the back straightaway, pushed him down towards the double yellow line. Something we'll take a look here. We'll try to bring up the tight cameras just a little bit here. Looking for damage on any of these cars. You may be able to keep up in the draft, but it is going to be an entirely different story. We're starting to see that top 20 differentiate themselves, though.
If you want to see damage at the front of the pack, look no further than Nolan Hodgson in 2nd place right now. That back bumper is all smashed in, and it's going to be interesting to see how that affects the drafting of his car.
Yeah, these cars are starting to wiggle around just a little bit more than we've seen so far. There's a good shot of the rear bumper damage on the 95, and that is all bump drafting as well. No major contact, I don't think, for Hodgson at any point in this race.
No.
That's just how hard they're running into each other with the bump drafts.
Yeah, you want to try to make sure you give somebody a good, clean, and square shot to get them pushed forward. But if you check up yourself too much, you don't get into them at all. You can afford even the smallest amount. So definitely going to be fun to watch here as we approach 8 laps to go next time by.
Making their way down the back straightaway, Cameron Caldwell's grabbed the race lead. And how about the 2nd place running, Joshua Gaiman? We've seen that car in more trouble than he can count. Big wiggle for Caldwell as they get into 3. And a shove up the racetrack's going to force Gaiman to the high side. He's going to get trained all the way to the back of the line here.
Yeah, he's going to lose at least 7 or 8 spots. He was running 3rd last time by the line. See if he cuts down here. He does not, so he's going to lose even more time in positions.
Yeah, he tried to get down in front of Dylan Kritz, but Kritz was having none of it. So Gaiman going to fall in line here. And again, another car we haven't talked about, the 78 running in the top 3. New names coming to the front here at Daytona right as the time to get is getting good.
Yeah, one more green flag pit stop, or at least one more pit stop here that we've talked about. Strategy getting ready to come out the window as you get closer and closer every single lap to that stage end. But your top 5, not too much has changed since we went back green after the end of the 2nd stage. Still 2 by 2, the first 10 or so rows here at the Daytona 500.
Field making their way through turns 1 and 2. Still going to be Caldwell and Duke at the front of the field. Ippolito and Figliola, a couple of names we've talked about all night at the front of the field. They run second and third. Big wiggle out of Boisvert. He's going to have to head to the inside. Another one, how about Randy Drumhiller in the 44? The brightly colored machine running third in the outside lane. Good run for Drumhiller, too.
Yeah, Boisvert losing a ton of ground there. He was 8th last time by the stripe. Getting forced down onto the apron. Of course, you can't pick up time down there, but it's okay to lose it. He now drops from basically 5th line all the way back down to 13th and jumps back down in on the inside line.
Once again, up on the 31-degree banking. How about the 20 of Jonathan Alardo? That car's seen his fair share of trouble so far. In fact, big hit into the outside wall, damaged the right side of that car up pretty well. We've got a battle for the lead. Ippolito, Duke, and Figliola going to make their way through 3 and 4, starting to break away just a little bit.
These guys certainly putting on a show. Cameron Caldwell losing 3 spots. He was first last time by the line. Now he's dropping pretty far back. But yes, Ippolito, Duke, Figliola, Caldwell, and Drumhiller got 5 last time by the line. And what a show we're seeing here in the season opener.
That 142 on the scoreboard approaching that final 25% distance. And these distance races are showing the most important thing is make sure you've got a shot at the end of the race. And we realistically have 20 cars that could win this Galaxy Cup Daytona 500.
One thing to note, your top 19 cars are all still in this lead pack together. 20th car, your last car on the lead lap, that is Alonso Chicano, currently running 20th. He is 20 seconds, if not more, behind at this point. Working. He does have a drafting partner, fortunately, in the 4-car of Rutherford, but he is well behind this lead pack and just praying for a caution at this point.
Yeah, he needs a ton of help here to get caught back up to the field. And here's the last car in the lead pack. That's Alex Princeton. And he's only about 2 seconds off your race leaders. These cars are more spaced out than what we've seen at the front of the field, but there you go. They're not all that far back either. Just close enough to use the ARCA brakes if the big one happens.
The fun part to watch about this is the strategy from Princeton. He's the last car in this pack, but not too long ago, we just saw him running about 3rd. So he drops to the back, and there's a 22 comes around. Is he able to save it? What a save from the 22!
What a save!
Oh my goodness, what a save! That was the 22 car. I believe he is. Is he? I'm trying to figure out who that is.
I was going to say, I'm checking my timing and scoring. That was Dave Fuse Jr. Holy cow. Let's see if we can find here. Yeah, we'll have the replay of this one here in just a second.
And it's fortunate enough that we were talking about some of those guys at the back of the lead pack, or else we would have entirely missed this. You can take a look at the replay. He just got squirrely, maybe clipped by the 45, but overall, I mean, what a save by him. Able to keep things going, keep his car clean.
Absolutely unreal. Things settling down just a hair at the front, but here comes Dylan Christ. He's going to slide up to the outside lane. He's partnered up really well with that 11 Jason Chambers. Oh, hard into the outside wall. Drumhiller's involved in this one. There's also the 37 and number. Several cars crashing in turns 3 and 4.
I was just going to get ready to go back and say, hey, speaking of that influence, Pete Jr. Did clip the apron very hard. And unfortunately for him, he damaged his front splitter just a little bit. But wow, what an instant that we had to take a look at the replay.
Yeah, maybe the next lap by here, at least through the next set of corners here. But keep your eye on Drumhiller in that number 44 on the outside. that's going to get you a little bit closer.
Yeah, it looks like as they get ready to get stuck in this instant, watch that 44 of Drumhiller. He tries to side draft off of this Clemson car to his inside. That's the 20. He's going to slide down just a little bit, and that's going to cause the entire field to check up.
Oh, yeah, he got loose pretty good on corner entry, and it was a big hit for the 20 machine as well. So let's pick things up here as we get ready to start seeing race leaders on pit road. Ty Ippolito, Brandon Figliola, Cameron Caldwell, all heading down pit road. Some cars staying out. Dylan Critch, Jason Chambers, David Duke, Joshua Campbell. This is that split strategy that we talked about a little bit here. Lap 146 is going to get you right about to that lap 170 mark. Actually, getting to about lap 180 on the fuel mark here. So it's still not enough to get to the end of the race.
But the biggest thing is going to be these pressured tires. Are you able to kind of work your way back up through the field with some tires and see if you can't get some moves done over the long run? I don't think fuel is even anywhere close to in the picture at this point for these guys, but overall, with so much racing left to be done, I'm sure you could see them work their way up to the front of the pack, pit with the rest of the leaders when they need to, and still have a chance to get that race win come to the end of it.
Yeah, here's taking a look here from Boisvert on back, and these are the cars that we're seeing stop. They have actually stopped now on lap 146. So our data is a little bit slow here on this one on the pit stop. But yeah, it's an interesting kind of split strategy that we're going to have now, because if we look at Dylan Critz at the front of the field, the top 6 cars electing not to come down pit road. Then we have the lap cars back to 20th place, Sean O'Brien. They will get their attempt down the pit lane this time by. I would imagine we're going to see the 20 making his way down pit road, although he may have also been in already after the yellow flag.
He did.
Yeah, so.
Correct.
But the tough part here for Elardo, he's actually still being scored in 6th, but I don't know, entering a closed pit, maybe an EOL penalty?
Correct. If I understand how it works correctly, yes, it's going to be end of the longest line. And unfortunately for him, that's going to drop him well back behind the lead group of the field. The worst part about it, though, is you're going to have all the damaged cars in your way that are running off the pace. So you have to pick your way through them cleanly and quickly if you want to stay with the lead pack.
Yeah, looking at the cars at the front of the field here as we get ready to come back to green. Dylan Critz still with a very clean number 36 race car. The same can be said for the 11 of Jason Chambers on the outside.
I think the most part for that car being clean, though, for Critz is how dark it is. You don't see all the rubber buildup. You don't see all the oil splashes. Meanwhile, on his outside, Jason Chambers, my goodness, you can see every spot of dirt, every dot of oil, everything all over the nose of that car.
I was going to say, I'm saying clean in terms of damage. The 78 of David Duke, that car looks pretty good as well. Also the 9 of Campbell. However, now we're back here to the 20 of Elardo and the 61 of Gaiman. Those 2 cars are very banged up here at the front of the field. And then right behind them, they're going to have Ty Ippolito and William Boisvert, who are, again, basically undamaged and 2 of the fastest race cars we've seen here all night. This restart is going to be a good one for sure. How about we do this? Should we give the fans one more chance to tune it up here before we get to the end of this one?
You know what? I don't see why that would be a bad idea. Let's do it.
All right, buddy. If you're watching here, you go ahead and turn it up. Speedway caution flag gonna fly here. See if we can pick up the reason for the incident here. Seeing possibly trouble for Alex Princeton. We'll get you the JCTV instant replay.
Yeah, he's got a lot of...
Oh, yeah. Big hit into the outside wall. Several cars going to be collected in that one.
It's unfortunate for him. He was running up there at the front of the field for the most part. He was caught up. The 88 actually is what started this issue. He got spun around by Chicano last time through the field. So yeah, coming through turn 2, just Chicano ran right into the back of Russo and just spun him around. Russo got all the way up across the track and took out, it was like 5, 6, 7 cars involved.
Yeah, and as often happens at Daytona, the car that makes the initial contact kind of gets away with it a little bit, as Chicano does have some front end damage, but that car's been banged up throughout the course of the race anyway.
Yeah, you have to feel for Princeton if you're him. He was running up at the front of the field earlier, did a great job working his way up through the draft, picking and choosing his spots, and my goodness, it's just unfortunate to see him involved in contact. He has no front end left on that car.
Yeah, pretty well destroyed here as we're working at lap number 150. I don't think we see many of the leaders come down pit road here. Well, they say, call me clueless on this one, because it looks like a lot of them are going to be coming in. David Duke's going to stay out, but...
I would expect most of the top 6 to come out, but the rest of the guys, they just came in, took tires and fuel, so this is bordering on. I mean, I would say the longest you could go, including caution laps, is 40 laps on the tank. We're at 48, so you would need some caution help to go to the end from here, but it's certainly possible.
Yeah, this could be the last set of stops here for guys like Mike Tellier, Cameron Caldwell, and Jonathan Medeiros, Princeton, Kritz, Chambers, Alardo, and Chicano. We are in full fuel save mode here. We may see someone go full Alexander Rossi on this thing late for sure.
Clutch and coast, just clutch and coast comes to the wind. Rossi did. Hopefully you'll be able to see it here. It's completely different, though, in terms of a draft track like this. But if you're Duke, Gaiman, or Campbell, the 3 of the top 4, they've been 20 laps out. That's half of a fuel run on this same tank of fuel. They'll have to see how things work out. And Chicano over the radio just apologizing. He says he might have been the one to cause that. Just unfortunate to bring out every caution that you see here.
Yeah, he's not having the best night, that's for sure. And taking a look at some of the drivers that stopped here on lap 151, Cameron Caldwell, so we swing around to pick him up, 5.2 seconds. Excuse me, Mike Tellier, 5.2 seconds. That was a fuel-only stop for Tellier. Caldwell right behind him in at 8.08 seconds. Once again, only Sunoco race fuel going in that car. Dylan Kritz, 1483 on his stop, and Jason Chambers, 1517. Both of those cars going to take 4 Goodyear Racing Eagles and 2 tanks of Sunoco fuel. Looks like...
Yeah, from talking with Christian Chandler, former Cup Series driver, now works for iRacing. From talking with him before the race, if you would take... if you're going to take 4 tires, you need to take 10.2 seconds of fuel. At least under green, that's how it works, is to not lose any time. You want to take 4 tires, you take 10.2 gallons of fuel. Otherwise, you take right sides no matter what under green. Under caution, I don't know why, unless like you're fighting for track position with lead lap cars. But you're not going to be seeing that, as basically the top 10 cars or so did not come in.
Yeah, I think it's sort of an interesting play here. This may be an issue, and I would have, let's see if we can get stop laps here at least. Because it looks like, trying to see where Tellier is here in 10th. He stopped on 101 and then 132, so that was a full-length stop, a full-length stint, I should say, for Tellier. This is kind of an interesting strategy call. He's absolutely in full fuel save at this point.
I'm seeing that Tellier was the first car to stop under this caution. Schmidt he's been running since 145. Definitely interesting to see how everything plays out for these guys, especially just with the way that this pack has been running early on in these runs.
Yep, field making their way off of turn number 4. David Duke and Joshua Gaiman going to lead the field to green. William Boisvert, Joshua Campbell in row 2. Nolan Hodgson, row 3. Nolan Hodgson, Ty Ippolito in row 3. Pace truck is in. Green flag's back in the air. We're underway, working lap 153 here at Daytona.
And for the first time in quite a while, the outside line doesn't lose a ton of ground. That 61 car of Gaiman just doing his best to hold the outside, keeping things clean and keeping at least close as they head into turn 1 and only losing about a spot to the 47 of Boisvert going through turn 2.
Off the corner, Boisvert's going to slide out and he'll assume the race lead with Joshua Gaiman bumper. And that's pretty much what Gaiman wanted to see. He needs the help. With the right front damage on that car, he's going to be much better as a pusher than as a leader. He's going to have Boisvert ahead of him, but here comes Duke to the inside.
Shuffled out.
Wide heading into the tri-oval.
Shuffled out. It was going to be Boisvert, but now it looks like it's going to be the 61. And let's get racy, boys.
Yeah, we're down inside the final stage, and with only 45 potentially plus laps to go, you're going to have towards the front of the field. And we've seen this on the restarts. A lot of jockeying for position, and then it seems like everybody starts to settle in a little bit. Even 2 by 2, they just kind of get into a rhythm and get some laps. Boisvert slides to the inside, covering the advance from Duke. That's going to hold up the 9 of Campbell.
The one thing I'd be interested to see is if we maybe don't get a second pack of cars, maybe guys running at 95 or so % throttle, just trying to save fuel, just kind of save as much as they can as this race goes on. You might lose some time to the leaders, but you can make that right up if they have to pit and you do not.
Yeah, that's sort of where Mike Tellier is right now. I mean, he's going to be the one to keep an eye on. Actually, all of these cars that stopped at lap 151, they're going to stay in the draft, and I would not be surprised one bit to see a lot of 80% or less throttle out of these cars as we go.
Yeah, of the cars to pit under that last caution, the first one running is Jason Chambers in the 11. Up ahead of them, everybody has stopped about 5 laps prior, with the exception of David Duke, and Joshua Campbell, and Joshua Gaiman as well.
Yeah, those cars are going to be pretty rapidly approaching their pit window. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't stop. Other than if you're able to stretch it to 165 or so, that puts you in the window to almost guarantee yourself to make it on one more stop. So there's actually 3 distinctly different strategies playing out here, all in this long freight train of cars in the front of the field.
What a show as we get single file the first 10 or so cars, maybe even more behind, but yeah, single file for the most part. 1 or 2 stragglers left hung out to dry, and if you're one of those cars on the outside just losing spot after spot, you have to from watching from up here in the booth or from the stands.
Yeah, at this point, I think you're going to see a lot of kind of get in line and just ride it out racing here, because Boisvert stopped at 146, but Duke stopped at 132. David Duke does not want to be at the head of the field right now. He needs to be in that draft conservation mode. It almost feels like everybody has started to catch on to where we are in the race and what the fuel strategy play out is going to be. If you're somebody like Boisvert, you're going to almost have to make one more stop. So how much do you save, and where do you save it and not get hung out?
Huge moment just a moment ago for Eric Winland, but he's talking about checking up over the radio. He got just a little bit loose, it seemed like, but able to keep things going as we remain green here, approaching 40 laps to go.
Off of turn 2 and down the Daytona super stretch, with one exception, everybody side or single file. Oh,
Oh.
big wiggle out of the back of the pack. That's going to be the 10 getting way out of shape.
And what a moment that was, just to make sure to keep things clean, keep things pointed the right direction if you're Alonso Chicano. And just overall, I mean, these guys have put on quite the show. We've had a couple of major incidents, but at the same time, even with this 11-mile-an-hour crosswind coming across the back super stretch, you definitely see these guys want to race as hard as they possibly can to keep things going.
Yeah, that was a huge moment. The 10 actually getting into the back bumper of the car. Jonathan Alardo's got to feel a little bit like a pinball machine out there at this point.
And it looks like on the outside line, they're starting to make a run. Looks like that's the 32, maybe 82. Sorry,
yep, the 82 with Dustin Webb, and he's got some help from behind. And that's
wow.
We've seen Crits at the head of the field. How about another new race leader in Dustin Webb?
He was about 7th or 8th, matching to the outside line coming into turn 3. He got a huge shove there from Dylan Crits, and Crits just pushed him as far as he possibly can up to the front of this pack.
Yeah, this is one of those. Crits has been very aggressive on the back bumper of the cars in front of him. Same we've seen actually with William Boisford as well. The cars that have been aggressive pushers are now running towards the front of the field.
Such great racing so far tonight, and I don't want it to come to an end. It's supposed to be 500 miles. Can we make it 6, maybe 700?
That's a long night of broadcast, brother, but hey, we'll take it.
Hey, I'm broadcasting. I'm not driving.
That's right. Field making their way through the tri-oval, putting lap 162 on the board. Kevin Franks, Jason Taylor pit side. Hey, we're getting really close to that window for these cars that stopped on lap 140. They're going to have to come into the pits soon.
I would have to expect it to be soon. I mean, they're 3 wide up in the front. Is that Chris going to the outside?
Chris way up to the outside, but he has no help. But he's got a chance to fall in line here as Webb got down to the inside lane.
And you see just how much that draft matters. They barely got out of line there in terms of how the line, if you lose the draft, even the slightest amount, or if you bobble and your line has to check up just a little bit, you can lose 3, 4, 5 spots just from a moment, just smallest moment, and it'll just cause your entire line to have to check out.
We thought the 2x2 was exciting. The 3-wide racing is going to be coming here in just a hot minute because these drivers are starting to feel out that you're going to have to start making the move eventually, especially if you're one of these cars like Alardo, who's running back there in the 20 machine. He's damaged, but if you're going to have a shot to win, you've got to get to the front. Yeah,
this race starting to remind me just a little bit of the iRacing Coca-Cola series that started up just this week. Clean for the most part. We saw some great drafting and great racing, but towards the end of the race, that's when the 3 wide really heated up. And they don't run green, white checkers in that series. We do here, but they could have used one as they came to a huge wreck coming towards the end of that race, and unfortunately finished for caution.
Big shove. We've got the 4 of Thomas Rutherford at the front of the field, but Rutherford 2 laps down, which I'm sure the leaders can't be totally thrilled with having a couple of laps down right in front of him here. But Dylan Crits is going to be your race leader over the line, and he's got the 11 of Jason Chambers. Once again, that 11 car, a fantastic pusher. That's who I want on my back bumper with 3 to go.
I don't know that there's any ties between himself and Johnny Rutherford, but he won the 1980 Daytona or Indianapolis 500. You have to keep your fingers crossed so that name at least lives up in the racing world and he can work his way back onto the lead lap, being 2 laps down right now.
Yeah, and we're seeing this car, Rutherford, start to come into play a little bit more than I might have expected here. It seems like everybody's getting single filed out around him. And I'm floored that David Duke is still out on the racetrack. He is let's see, he stopped on 132 and we're at 166. So he's only got a couple of laps left worth of fuel in that tank.
Yeah, we were told by some of the drivers in the series the fuel window 35 to 38 laps. David Duke running lap 34 on his tank right now.
Starting to see some of the lack traffic. Big wiggle there out of the 11 of Chambers. He caught the apron, and nice job there to keep that thing on the straight and narrow. Everybody at the front, single file. Keeping our eye again on these cars who are maybe in the fuel save mode. Chambers are at the front of the field. There's no fuel save going on there.
No.
Caldwell, however, are running 17th and 18th. They're at the back of this train of cars. They haven't really advanced much, but they're also probably in fuel save mode at this point.
Yeah, if you're a guy like, say, David Duke, Joshua Gaiman, you could probably lump in Joshua Campbell there as well. You know, they're from this point on, they are good to go if they stop here on fuel. You want to be just as close to that leader as you possibly can when you come down pit road. They have to be coming in with the next lap or two here.
Yeah, this is where we're going to see the strategies play out, and unfortunately, that's going to break up this big pack of cars.
Yeah, you might be hoping for a caution, maybe try and just kind of work your way back up to the lead pack. But overall, I mean, what a show we've seen so far from these guys coming to about 30 laps to go next time by.
Entering turns 3 and 4 once again. It's going to be Kritz and Chambers at the head of the field. Boisvert now runs a true third. The fourth place car is Rutherford, who's 2 laps down. Then it'll be David Duke, Dustin Webb, and Nolan Hodgson running behind those cars. The other potential issue for Duke on this strategy play, the next closest car he has to pit with Gaiman does have damage from earlier incidents and also runs in the 7th position, while Joshua Campbell, I believe it is anyway, my eyes are on him, he's running in the 10th position, so they're not real tightly bunched up, but they can come to pit road together and hit the marks all at the exact same time.
Correct. David Duke running 4th, Campbell in 10th, and then even in the middle of them is Joshua Gaiman running 7th. So they do have a couple of cars to work with. Hopefully they all decide to come down pit road together.
Yeah, that was, what was your discussion earlier, that, you know, big math is easy? The 8 cars that are going to stay on the racetrack are going to make a whole lot more speed than the 3 that will come off of pit road. So I'm not totally sure of the strategy call other than hoping for more yellow than we've gotten.
Yeah, you have to hope for a yellow real soon if you're one of those 3 cars that we've been talking about. Otherwise, there's some guys that have come out that have run about 20 laps on the current run, and then right with them is, you know, guys like Boisvert and Webb, Hodgson as well. They've run 25 laps, so basically I think everybody at this point hoping for a caution. They can go to the end on a single stop from here.
Yeah, and then it basically, guys like Mike Tellier and Cameron Caldwell are hoping that we don't see a caution flag, because if you're predicating your strategy on making it to the end and everybody else can't, the yellow flag blows that right out the window and everybody's going to have a chance to stop. The nice thing for those guys is at least they're still on the lead lap. They'll still be on the lead lap. So they'll have a chance to make the stop too, and there's really not that many cars they're going to have to come past.
All that I know is at the end of 100 laps, 500 miles, you want to be out front, and you're relying on basically everybody else to get you there. And I can't wait to see how this plays out, because these guys are putting on quite the show so far. And we are starting to see some guys coming down pit road.
Joshua Gaiman currently on the pit lane. We mentioned lap 172 as being the lap that would guarantee you being good for the green-white checkers. Well, that's right where we are right now. So Joshua Gaiman is the only car that we know can go to the end. Everybody else is either going to need a pit stop or they're going to need some help.
And it looks like, fortunately enough for him, he does have maybe a little bit of drafting help. Is 38 seconds, 39 seconds now off of this lead pack, but, well, he doesn't actually have it. The next two cars up on track are coming into turn 2 now. He's about halfway down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Joshua Gaiman is in a world of hurt with this line of leaders that's coming up to him. At the front of the field, Dylan Critz still holding on to the lead with Mason Chambers. At this point, they're in. We're going to have to stop mode, so you're going to see when that stop has to come. Surprised we haven't seen David Duke yet. A couple of more cars pulling off down to the pit lane, including Dustin Webb and Nolan Hodgson. Also, Eric Wineland on the pit road as well. These couple of cars, this is really where things are going to get interesting. We're now into the undercut strategy window that we talked about a little bit before. Is that going to be the key that gets you up to the front of the field? You don't want to see the caution right now, but maybe in a lap you're going to be sitting really pretty.
I don't know how, if you're David Duke, you're not coming in this lap. He's getting ready to come off of turn number 4 right now, and he somehow stays. I don't know how he's doing this. He is currently 43 laps into his run, and we were told that the expected fuel tank would run about 38 laps. So I guess those caution laps have helped him out a little bit, but my goodness.
Yeah, the caution laps have helped, and he also has made absolutely no effort to get around Rutherford. The 4 machine, well, now the 4 pulls to the inside, so Duke gets out in front.
And it is confirmed David Duke and Joshua Campbell are coming into pit this time by. So they made it 43 laps with a couple of laps of caution, but they were able to stretch the field just enough to make it this far in the race as we come to 25 to go. Oh, and a huge pack coming.
Cars.
Wow.
Ton of cars coming now, including Ty Ippolito, David Duke, Brandon Figliola, Jonathan Elardo, Joshua Campbell, Mike Tellier. Tellier's in. That's really a surprise as well. Everybody cleanly onto the pit road. No caution flag. Here's where your race leaders are. They're just off at turn 2.
I expected to see about 5 cars or so coming out or coming into pit road there, but no, we saw about 15 or so as they are 3 wide coming off of pit exit.
Yeah, Tellier, a little bit of a connection issue there. Let's pick up the race leader and see where he is, because now if you're Critz, when do you make that stop? I mean, we're looking at potentially, based on the numbers we saw out of Duke, yeah, it could be as late as lap 190, but you really don't want to make the stop then.
If you are Critz,
146.
And if you're Critz as well, you're going to be running into this huge wall of slower traffic coming out of pit road. They should be decently up to speed by the time you get to them, but still, you're running into slower cars while trying to remain full steam ahead as the leader of this race.
Yeah, they're going to swing to the outside of the 85 machine through turn 3, so that pass was clean on Maderos. They're going to have a whole wad of race cars up here in front of them, though. Going to be down now to 23 laps to go here in the Great American Race.
They've run 27 laps, so I'd expect another 20 out of them. That'd still leave them about 3 laps short, give or take, if they're able to at least fuel save. But overall, I mean, maybe 15 being the reality here, about 8 laps short if you're, not trying to fuel save.
I was going to say, I mean, the answer for me from Critz was going to be, does he hook up behind one of these cars and just pedal it off throttle? And that's not the plan. They are running these things hard. So, bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off for him. Yeah,
how much fuel can you save? Are you able to somehow save 8 laps under yellow? That's going to be where the real question comes into play here. Ty Ippolito doing a great job of leading his pack of cars that just came into pit last time, or a couple laps ago.
Yeah, and now we'll pick up here the 96 of Dylan Schmidt. He stopped last on lap 146 as well. And Sean O'Brien in the 65 is right on his back bumper down the back straightaway. If the lead three pit, does either Schmidt or O'Brien try to stretch this to the end? Because everybody else has stopped here on lap 175, back in 6th place, Ty Ippolito.
I was about to say, if you're one of those two, you have to come in with them. But they're 7 seconds back. They're well out of the draft. And I think at this point, if you're either of those two, you just kind of need to pedal it, feather it, do what you can, put an egg under that gas pedal. You need to save exactly enough to get to the end here. And, you know, you want to do a burnout at the end, but what really matters is making sure you get to that checker flag.
Yeah, race leader Dylan Kritz into turns 3 and 4 with a big pack of cars there. And he has Chambers and Boisvert on the back bumper. Still have to get around the 9 of Joshua Campbell. And that's 10th place Joshua Campbell that's going a lap down. So this pit strategy game has completely blown this race open. It's now a matter of, can you make it, or how quickly can you stop? I mean, this is a splash and go at this point.
Boisvert did just ask in the driver's chat, asking if he can go to lap 186 for all of these pit stops. I'd expect that has to be about the lap that these guys are going to have to come in, try to get something done. But the issue is going to be they are in a smaller pack than the group behind, and they do their best just to make sure they don't lose too much time, because if you're in the smaller pack like these front 3 or so are, they've got a couple of lap cars helping them out. But overall, I mean, this group behind them that features, you know, Campbell, Chicano, Tellier, Duke, Aldaro, I mean, they need basically every little bit of help that they can to try to come out without losing a lap. But you don't want to see a caution if you're one of these one lap down cars, because you're waiting on everybody else to pit.
Yeah, this is going to get pretty insane, because the lap times we're seeing are right around the 44-second mark, and the gap to 6th place Ty Ippolito is 39 3/4 seconds and growing. So we could see, theoretically, Kritz, Chambers, and Boisvert try to stretch this to where they may not even lose the lead, let alone putting cars a lap down.
Yeah, Boisvert says he can make 186 on his current tank of fuel under green. That's coming up in just about 4 laps from now.
Yeah, this is going to get exciting. And people who say they hate the fuel mileage races, wait till you see the finish of this one, because let's pick up the gap back here with Ty Ippolito. He has Brandon Caldwell on his back bumper, or excuse me, Cameron Caldwell. Jake Higson runs 9th. Those 2 cars can absolutely make it. There's the next group of cars. That's all Higson, Campbell, Chicano, Duke. They're just 1 lap down. So if the pit delta time is about 1 lap, we could see 2 large groups of cars coming out together.
And I talked to Boisvert's thing, asking about 186. I just realized he pit 5 laps later than the 2 cars in front of him in terms of in position on track. So it might be even sooner if you're Kritz and Chambers.
Yeah, potentially could be. I mean, I would imagine those 3 are going to try to work together. One of the interesting things, this brings up the question that I referred to, I think before you got on, Chad, was these drivers are not using spotters and crew chiefs. So there's no ability for the spotters to try to go talk to each other and say, hey, can we maybe get these to pit together? If you're not on the same team, you can't be in the same Discord channel. It's going to be really, really interesting to see how everybody pits and when. And they're having to basically make it public knowledge.
Yeah, we've heard it time and time again over the radio during this race. Hey, I'm coming in. Hey, I'm staying out. Talking to drivers around them saying, you know, apologizing for instance, all that kind of stuff. But the biggest one has been, hey, I'm coming in this lap. that gives everybody else behind them a spark of hope every time you see one of these leaders come down pit road.
Yep, down to now 15 laps to go here at Daytona. It's still Fritz, Chambers, and Boisvert at the front of the field. Only 8 cars remain on the lead lap. This feels more like 1988 than some of the modern races we've seen with 30-plus cars finishing on the lead lap. But that's what fuel strategy does. And quite frankly, I think where they put the stage brakes allowed these kind of strategy calls to develop.
And I believe that Sean O'Brien might be coming down pit road here pretty soon. It sounds like that might be the case for him. He just came over the radio, and he was the last driver that came down pit road about 35 laps ago.
Yep, we'll see him coming through turns 3 and 4 here. See if he makes the turn. Yep, he's going to be coming in along with Dylan Schmidt. So both of those cars going to make their final pit stops here with 14 to go. Now it's a matter of what's the race leader going to do. And they are absolutely in this hornet's nest of cars, doing their best at this point to put everybody a lap down. That's really their only hope at this point.
Yeah, you're praying for a caution if you're one of the leaders.
Here
you're
come
praying
the
not
leaders.
to see what it is. Here come a bunch of cars.
Leaders all making their way to pit road. Jason Chambers, Dylan Kritz, William Boisvert. Don't get the speeding penalty now. Hit your marks cleanly. This is your final shot to win the Galaxy Cup Series Daytona 500. The 47 of Boisvert missed his box just a little bit. He's going to be taking right side tires. A little bit of a surprise to see that. Chambers going to beat Kritz out of the pits, I believe, here.
But losing a ton of time as the third car in line as well.
Boisvert, yeah, Boisvert just now coming off of pit road. He did take tires. Now the question becomes, where is everybody else? Ty Ippolito closing in a huge way on these cars. Ippolito and Figliola may have this race in hand. They're good to go on fuel, and they are closing more than a second per second, if that makes any sense.
I think that it was Boisvert that just unfortunately for him, I don't know if he meant to take 4 tires, but I think he took 4, expecting the others to do the same.
There's second and third place, Ty Ippolito and Brandon Figliola. They just came around Boisvert. The gap is closing. There's your race leader right at the bottom of the screen. Kritz and Chambers with an absolutely masterful strategy call. They come out with the race lead, and they are fully up to speed. The question now is, can Ippolito and Figliola get up on their back bumper here with 12 to go?
I don't know how much it is math compared to just comparing 2 pictures, but this lead duo does not seem to be as many cars with as much of a draft as cars like Ippolito, Figliola, and Boisvert behind.
Yeah, we'll slide back here just a little bit. There's third and fourth place, Ippolito and Figliola. Boisvert not able to hold on to the draft of those two, so it looks like we may have a 4-car duel unless the caution flag were to fly here. That would be a total field reset, basically. And we now have 16 cars back on the lead lap.
Yeah, 16 cars on the lead lap. 4 of them actually have just pitted about 3 laps ago. The rest of them pitted 15 laps. Everybody should be good to go to the end here, no matter how many green-white checkers we see at the end of it.
Yeah, we were looking at about lap 172 should put you in the green, and the most recent stops, Josh Gaiman on 171. He is the last car on the lead lap. Everybody else is a lap down, and then it's 175 or later in the race. So here it is, folks, a 4-car battle with 10 to go.
And we say 4 cars with 10 to go. I can't wait to see if this group behind, they've got Campbell, Hickson, Caldwell, Duke, Chicano, Tellier, and more 10 seconds behind. And they use their larger group of cars to catch up to this large lead that Crits, Chambers, and the group have.
Yeah, looking at the gaps here, it's about 10.5 seconds, but it's not shrinking as much as you might expect here. It's a couple of hundredths a lap, but there's just not time left for these cars unless the caution flag were to come out here. And even a 4-car duel to the finish here is still plenty of time for these 4 to wad them up coming to the checkers, and who knows who's going to win it from there.
It's the tale of two stories, tale of two cities, whatever you want to call it, up at the front 4 as well. Sure, you got Crits and Chambers out front. They started 22nd and 30th respectively. Meanwhile, Ippolita and Figliola, they started 5th and 9th themselves. So you have the guys that stayed up front all day, and the 2 cars that had to work their way up there, currently running 1 through 4.
It shows the strength of this Galaxy field from top to bottom on this one. It doesn't matter where you start, and especially at the plate tracks. Everybody who took the green flag had a shot. I still can't get over the absolute stroke of brilliance from Crits and Chambers. 1 lap sooner or 1 lap later, these 4 cars don't end up like this on the racetrack.
No, and the biggest thing about that is that there's a 12-lap difference in when these 4 cars pitted. Crits and Chambers, 7 laps to go. Ippolito and Figliola, 19 laps ago. And then right behind them, Boisvert, which pitted with Chambers and Crits and just lost a ton of time on his stop.
Yeah, Joshua Gaiman just bounced it up off the outside wall. Able to keep control of it. He'll stay under power. This is now the waiting game. When do you make the move if you're Ippolito and Figliola? Crits and Chambers have been masterful at holding this inside lane. I don't think they're going to give you a gap. So when do you start to make the big push?
I don't think it's ever too late to make the big push. If you wait too long, you might get caught out to dry. But, running just these 4 cars by themselves, you have to try to do what you can. And these 4 cars, I talked about that 10-second gap. It's now up to 12 last time by the line.
Yeah, and actually William Boisvert is falling back into that group. So his day is going from bad to worse here. The miscue on pit road is going to end up costing him from a shot at the win to being caught up in that big gaggle of cars back in the pack here. As the leaders come off at turn number 4, let's pick up that group entering turn 3. They're all single file as well. Trying to make the gap up, but it's just not happening here as we're down to 5 to go.
Yeah, still 15 cars still on the lead lap, giving the first car a lap down, eligible for the lucky dog. And he right now just praying for a caution. He'll get his lap back, and somehow will still have a shot at the checkered flag.
Still single file here at the front of the field. We know it's coming at some point. It really is just a matter of when. You're not going to leave the Daytona 500 hanging on the table. You're not going to ride it out. But with only 2 cars, it really is going to be dependent on when Chambers decides to make the move. Not so much Ippolito and Figliola.
Yeah, and you got Crits and Chambers both hanging out there up front with Black Flag Motorsports. Right behind them, though, DAS Racer, whatever you want to call it, of Ippolito and Figliola running 3 and 4. So 2 tandems of teammates. The question is, do you go up to block if you're Chambers for your teammate? Do you kind of stay in line and help him draft? What about Ippolito? When do you make your move? How do you time your move? Just all working things out right now between these 2 groups of cars.
Down to 3 to go. Saw a little bit of a peek from Jason Chambers. Don't know if that was selling the dummy to Ippolito and Figliola, but it's go time here at Daytona. Chris moves up the racetrack just a little bit. Not enough room for Chambers to get inside as they head to turn 3.
What a huge run that these guys have. I talked about it was 10, it was 12 last time, 13 and a half seconds back to Campbell, Hickson. Boisvert now back to about 4th in line there. He's currently running 8th place on track, but these top 4, the 4 to focus on, coming to 2 to go.
It's got to be tough. I say it's got to be tough for Figliola to sit back there knowing that this entire thing is out of his hands. But he's got to be ready to make a move. Ippolito and Figliola are team cars. Not so much for Kritz and Chambers here at the front of the field. Looks like,
and if a caution comes out, it has to come out now. The next flag after they cross the line is going to end the race. As we come to the white flag as they come working their way through turns 3 and 4.
At the flag stand, white flag is in the air. The next flag is gonna end it here at Daytona. 2.5 miles to go in the Great American Race.
And first 4 still single file back behind there, 2 by 2 by 2 with Boisvert in that pack. Talked about him being 3rd in line. Now he is all the way up to the lead of that pack. We'll have to see what happens back behind for 5th.
Here comes the big bump draft down the back straightaway. Chambers all over the back bumper of Kritz. Ippolito and Figliola are hooked up in 3 and 4. Here comes the move to the outside. Little bit of a side draft through 3 and 4. Down to the line, Chad Irvine. Who's it gonna be?
Side by side, it is Kritz out front, and still Kritz with a huge move on the outside. Ippolito at the line, give it to it. It's Ippolito, then Kritz by 2/100th of a second. Oh, what a call, what a race. Ippolito, Kritz, Figliola, and Chambers at the line.
They wad them up ahead of the race leaders, but holy cow, what a finish. Ty Ippolito picks up the win in the Daytona 500 over Dylan Kritz and Brandon Figliola. Wow, what an incredible run in this one.
What an incredible shot from Figliola on Ippolito coming into turn 3. And my goodness, I mean, the top 4, less than 1/10 of a second. If you're Jason Chambers, you're heartbroken. You might have finished 4th, but you were 9/100ths of a second from getting the win in the season opener.
Yeah, absolutely unreal finish to this one. Ty Ippolito is going to do the big burnouts here at the start.
Burn it down. You earned it.
Oh, man. What an absolutely incredible finish to this one. And let's get you the results from tonight.
Yeah, talked about it. Ty Ippolito, the winner tonight. Took him 2 hours and 51 minutes to do so, but he got the win, followed by Kritz, Figliola, Chambers in your top 4, that pack that we saw at the end. 14 seconds back is 5th place is Boisvert, then David Duke, Joshua Campbell, Cameron Caldwell, Jake Hickson, and Mike Teller wrap up your top 10.
Taking a look back at 11th through 20th position, Alonzo Chicano, Dylan Schmidt, Sean O'Brien comes home in the 13th position. 14th to Jonathan Alardo, Jonathan Medeiros in 15th, 16th to Nolan Hodgson, 17th Joshua Gaiman, 18th Robert Anderson, 19th to Brett Bennett, and 20th Dustin Webb.
And even further back, a couple cars 3 laps down were Eric Wineland and Thomas Rutherford, followed then by Kyle Emmon, Cody Luke, Dave Fuge, Alex Princeton, 27th with Dakota Knoll, and Andrew Russo, 28th. 29th, Kevin Franks, Jason Taylor in 30th as well.
31st goes to Randy Drumhiller, Julian Pastor in 32nd, Zach Probst 33rd, Terry Cooper 34th, 35th, Brian Mabry 36th, Dallas Patoska 37th, Josh Coppernell, and the 38th and final finisher tonight, Tyler Pincinall. So, wow, Chad, I mean, what an incredible finish to this one. Uh, Now we're just going to have to get everybody down here for the interviews because there is a whole lot to talk about on this one.
I mean, what a show. I don't know many more words I can say because between the pitch strategy, how all of that played out, and how everybody behind them ended up doing things. And I mean, these last couple cars, they stretched as late as they could. They built the lead as much as they could. And from there, it was just an incredible show between Ippolito, Kritz, Pigliola, and Chambers doing their best to outduel one another coming to the checkered flag.
Yeah, that was the finish was incredible, and it was not the 14 wide packs that we're used to seeing at Daytona, but absolutely incredible run here. And I think we have our third place finisher here ready to chat with you here, Chad. We'll give me a second to pull you up in the Discord, and then we will be able to have you talk with our race winners here.
All right, looks like we are ready here for to be joined by our third, or sorry, we are joined by Ty Ippolito, I believe. I'm getting some major feedback here. Ty Ippolito being joined by us here in the booth. Ty, what a race you had! How the strategy worked out was just phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you.
How'd you guys do it? Because it looked like you guys were dueling there with pit strategy towards the end of the race. Kind of tell us about how you worked things out there towards the end.
Yeah, tried to just stretch it as long as we could. We didn't stop on that last caution, so tried to stretch it a little bit. We made it, so.
Yeah, I mean, you were working with your teammate Brandon there towards the end of the race. What was it like there in the race and realizing you had to make that move towards the checkered flag?
Yeah, it was pretty good. He was pushing me all night long. I trust in him. You know, I really gotta thank him for this win.
Yeah, I mean, starting the 2021 season off in the right way, getting the win. How did things look from here going to the road course next week?
Very good. I'm looking forward to it.
And
A lot of momentum.
so you've got of course, your teammates to thank. Looking forward, you've got a couple of races, including Daytona Road Course, Homestead. What's your goal for the season and the expectations you have for yourself?
And there and win the championship.
You know, if you're going to win, you got to set the bar high. Ty, congratulations on the win. Anybody you have to thank? Any sponsors or anything like that? Any shout-outs?
I just want to thank everybody at Dynamic Autosports.
All right, Ty, congratulations on the win once again, and we will see you next week for another spectacular race. You guys better put on a good show for us next time.
Thank you.
That's Ty Ippolito in the number 19 for DAS Racing, getting ready to be joined next by our next driver, finishing second overall, is going to be Dylan Kritz. Dylan, what a show you put on. Going into turn 3, did you have a shot at it?
Oh, I absolutely thought we did. Jason Chambers gave me one hell of a push. If I just backed up the brake a little bit, I think we could have had a win.
Yeah, what was that race like, especially with the strategy call that you guys had? The top 4 of you guys really ran away with it, ending up 14 seconds ahead of the pack. What did fuel mean in this one, and how did you guys kind of work it out between both you and Jason, as well as Ty and Brandon?
So at that last caution, we decided that we wanted to pit there just so we can get a splash and go right at the end. I had taped up my car way up, and then I had Jason there with low tape to push me the whole way. So it was really just a combination of pushing just nonstop with good tape and then just good fuel strategy.
Yeah, how confident were you coming to the end of that race that you even had enough fuel? Was it, I know that you guys kind of had to stretch it out to even get there, but was there any question maybe might have been overheating or anything like that at the end?
No, honestly, the only thing I was worried about is having to thread the needle with 2 instances with lap cars. We got just enough fuel in there. Only thing I was worried about is maybe green white checkers.
Yeah, we've got a long season ahead of us here in the Galaxy Cup Series. Looking ahead, do you have any goals for yourself that you've set this season, maybe looking forward?
Well, I think this is a strong showing, don't you?
Oh, for sure.
It's we had a bunch of strong cars, a bunch of strong drivers out there today. Unfortunately, a few of them got caught up, but honestly, it sucks that Jason Chambers and I couldn't have gotten the win, maybe just one more spot, but we're looking to win some races this season. It's looking promising.
I mean, hey, you set the bar high early on with the second place finish here in the opener. Less than just over 2/1000ths of a second between you and Ty. But what a show you guys put on! Congratulations on second place finish. Any sponsor you have to thank? Anybody, sponsors or friends or family you want to shout out to?
Honestly, just Black Flag Motorsports, Jason S. Taylor for helping with the setup and the whole team for testing. Honestly, this was a way better result than I would have expected, and well, I think we got a good place to launch off of.
Dylan Kritz, congratulations on your second place finish here in the Galaxy Daytona 500. And one final interview to wrap things up here, being joined by your third place finisher of Brandon Figliola. Brandon, what a push you guys had there at the end to get your teammate the win.
Yeah, awesome race. Starting from the beginning, we just knew we were going to go out and get stage points, so we were fighting there. Second stage, we had a little bit of a struggle, but at the end there, it was close. As Ty said, we were a little worried on fuel, and we knew the two of them, Jason and Dylan, broke away, and thankfully we caught them coming out. And then, man, it was a battle to the line. And my goal was just to be there and push him. I dropped down on my tape, he climbed up on his tape, and I was there on the bumper. That was my goal. That was
Yeah,
good.
going into turn number 3, you guys were still in line with both Dylan and Jason. But talk about that move. I mean, it was so late. It was just on entry to the corner. You gave him a huge shove. Talk about that move.
So, really funny about that move. I was talking to him in Discord, and I was telling him I was going to get a run actually coming to the white flag, hoping to get a run then, but I just timed it wrong. They were pushing so hard. Jason was pushing Dylan so hard. I didn't get the run until coming out of 3 there, and maybe it just ended up in the right way there. And then I told him, "Go high, I'm coming with the run," and just made sure he stayed away from them so they didn't dorm or anything potentially, and because I knew we had the push there. So yeah, it was a I didn't think we were going to make it at the moment there because I lost my momentum at a couple of spots.
How nervous were you coming towards the end of that race with the way that everything timed out? The rest of the pack behind you, they might have finished 14 seconds back, but oh my goodness, with the way that you guys had to make your green flag pit stops later than everybody else, what were your thoughts on that as the run went on?
Um, my main concern was potentially green white checkered, so I was just a little. We were very light on fuel, so I was a little worried in that scenario. We were going to have to come down again. But really, with the pit stops, I knew we were pitting with a few guys. It kind of was bad coming out of the pits. We lost them because they had some slight damage. So I knew we were just digging to get to the end there. And thankfully, with the tape setup that we had, I could just push him the whole time and not get over temped. So it was good.
Next week, we have to return to Daytona, but you have to make some right turns. Your thoughts on road courses?
Uh, Not too great at them, but I'm going to show up and just log my laps and hopefully get a decent finish.
Well, hey, congratulations on third place finish. Any thoughts on anybody you have to shout out? Any friends, family, sponsors, anything like that?
The guys back at Dynamic Autosports. We worked really hard on the setup throughout the week. We did a lot of NISs to prep for it, and paid off.
Well, hey, Brandon, congratulations on third place finish. We'll see you next week right back here at Daytona.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Brandon Figliola here, the third place finisher in the Galaxy Daytona 500. What a race that we saw, Krish. What a fantastic finish.
It was absolutely fantastic from beginning to end. We'll get the results popped back up on the screen here for everybody in case you're just picking us up here at the end. But holy cow, what an unbelievable run that we had here tonight. Top four finishing within just a couple of hundredths of a second from each other. This one was a blast to call.
They were followed up by Figliola and a couple of guys. But what a fantastic show for everybody all around.
Yeah, this one, like I said, this one was this series is going to be a ton of fun to get to call on Saturday nights here, and hopefully they want to have us back here, because getting to do the call on JCTV is pretty unique for us here, and yeah, we're looking forward to a full season, especially making the right turns next week.
Yeah, we do see a lot of right turn compared to usual, especially, for the NASCAR series. They're running, I think, 6, if not 7 road courses this year. You got places, of course, Daytona road course, but you're also running Indianapolis making the right turns. A couple other places, Circuit of the Americas, Watkins Glen, as always. But overall, I mean, just some, right turns, left turns, and just some fun times all around. So congratulations to all the winners as we wrap things up here at Daytona for the Galaxy Cup Daytona 500.
Yeah, with that, we'll wrap up our coverage here on JCTV, and got to thank everybody here from the Galaxy Cup for having us out tonight. A little bit short notice here on what the call was going to be, but yeah, this one was a ton of fun tonight, and thanks to everybody for having us out. Make sure you check out Chad and iRacing Tuesday nights in the Tuesday Night Thunder Series. You can see that one on Raceverse, I believe. Don't miss the coming up this Friday night, the train wreck of stock cars on the National Racing Network. That'll be 5 classes of stock cars from the iRacing Super Speedway. Everything from the car of tomorrow down to street stocks and tour modifieds. That one's going to be an absolute mess as well. For everybody here at the National Racing Network handling the production duties tonight, we want to say thank you very much for joining us, and have a great night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.